Okay, ever feel like you're like one tiny tantrum away from a full-blown like parental meltdown? That leaves you wondering if maybe like cold fish were a better life choice.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, today, we're diving into How to Stop Losing Your Shot with Your Kids by Carla Naumburg.
Ah,
It
yes.
promises some seriously practical advice, and let's face it, we could all use a little more zen in this parenting gig, right?
For sure. For sure.
So, like, what's Naumburg's take on these meltdowns? What's the deal with us losing it with our kids?
Well, she kind of flips the scripts, right? She says it's not really about the kids misbehaving. It's more about our reactions to it.
Oh, interesting.
And get this, those reactions, they're often driven by something she calls FART.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Stands for feelings, automatic, reactive, toxic.
Okay, I'll admit that's pretty catchy, But, like, sometimes it feels like my brain just short circuits, like I'm not even in control.
Yeah, totally. And Naumburg actually talks about how these reactions are kind of like hardwired.
Hmm.
They're often based on stuff from our own childhoods.
Right.
So when we get triggered, it's almost like, we're not even thinking straight. We're just reacting.
It's like my inner child is having a tantrum right alongside my actual child.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And you know what makes these automatic reactions even worse? Multitasking.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like studies show that trying to do a million things at once actually makes it harder to regulate our emotions.
I knew it. I always feel like I'm juggling like five things at once, and it definitely doesn't bring out my like parenting A game.
Right.
So, okay, what are some of those common triggers then? The ones that send us over the edge.
Well, exhaustion's a biggie, of
No,
course.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, when we're sleep deprived, our ability to keep our cool just goes out the window.
Yeah?
And it's like our fuse gets shorter and shorter.
Tell me about it. After a rough night, even the sound of my kids breathing can set me off.
Right.
So, okay, she calls these triggers buttons, right? And then she talks about something called like button reduction practices.
Yeah, BRPs, she calls them.
ERPs, right?
Yeah, and one of the key ones she talks about is single tasking,
Okay.
like really focusing on one thing at a time.
So instead of trying to like answer emails while cooking dinner, while, breaking up a fight, I should just focus on, say, just dinner.
Exactly. Even for just a few minutes.
It seems so simple, but I already feel calmer just thinking about it.
I know, right? It's all about retraining our brains to focus, which can have a huge impact on our well-being and on, staying calm with the kids.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And another interesting point Naumburg makes is that self-care, it's not selfish.
Right.
It's actually crucial for being a better parent.
Okay, but self-care can feel so, like, out of reach. Like, am I supposed to be booking spa days in between, like, diaper changes and soccer practice?
She's actually really realistic about it. She's not talking about grand gestures,
Yeah,
but small, consistent things we can do for ourselves.
got it.
And one thing she really emphasizes is sleep.
Okay, I'm listening.
I mean, I know it's hard with little ones, but I've definitely noticed that when I get at least a few hours of sleep, I'm like a way more patient parent.
Well, she actually explains why sleep is so important.
Oh, okay.
So, when we're sleep deprived, our prefrontal cortex, that part of our brain responsible for like making good decisions and managing our emotions,
Yeah.
it basically shuts down.
So it's like our rational brain is taking a nap while our emotional brain is running the show.
Exactly.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Right.
It's not that we're bad parents. It's just our brains are literally not functioning at their best.
Exactly.
Okay, so sleep is key. Got it.
Yeah.
What else is in this realistic self-care routine?
Well, having a support network is huge.
Okay.
People we can turn to for help, for advice, or just to like vent to. Oh, yeah, sometimes you just need someone who gets it. Someone who doesn't judge you for dreaming of a silent retreat.
Exactly.
Okay, support network, check.
And then she also talks about self-compassion,
Self-compassion, yeah.
which I think a lot of parents struggle with.
Mm.
We're so hard on ourselves.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a friend who's having a tough time.
Yeah.
And one practice she suggests for that is meditation.
Okay, meditation. That's, what is that exactly?
It's basically sending kind wishes to yourself and others, like Imagine this warmth and kindness radiating outwards like a big hug for your soul.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Right. It's like a mental pep talk,
Yeah.
reminding ourselves that we're doing our best, you know?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and that inner support can be really powerful, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed and discouraged.
This is all making so much sense now. It's like we're building this foundation so we're not so fragile when things get tough.
Yeah, yeah.
But what about those moments when we're like right on the edge of losing it? What do we do then?
Well, Naumburg has this brilliant 3-step process for those moments, for managing those meltdowns.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's called notice, pause, do anything else.
Notice, pause, do anything else.
Yeah.
It sounds almost too easy.
I know, right?
Okay, break it down for me.
Okay, so notice is about being aware of those early warning signs that a meltdown is coming.
Like a tightness in my chest or that feeling when my patience is wearing thin.
Exactly, exactly. Like catching it before it explodes.
Okay.
And that's where pause comes in.
Okay.
It's about creating this tiny space between the trigger and your reaction.
Oh, okay. A space to like hit the reset button.
Precisely. And then comes the do anything else.
Okay.
And that's where you consciously choose a different action, something that will shift your energy and help you calm down.
Ooh, okay. Examples. Because I think my go-to right now is like stress eating Halloween candy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it could be anything, really. Taking a few deep breaths, counting to 10, or even just stepping away for a moment.
So it's about interrupting that automatic reaction and choosing a different path.
You got it. And the more we practice this, the better we get at handling those tough moments with the kids.
You know, I have to admit, I'm already feeling more hopeful. It's like empowering to know we actually have more control than we think.
Absolutely. And that sense of empowerment is like one of the best gifts we can give ourselves as parents.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot, like the automatic reactions, self-care, this notice, pause, do anything else thing.
Yeah.
But what about when, like, despite our best efforts, we still lose it?
Well, that's a great question. And it's something Naumburg talks about a lot. She talks about repairing those post-meltdown relationships with our kids.
Okay, I think we're ready for part 2 of this parenting adventure. Let's talk about damage control and, like, how to reconnect with our kids after those moments of, you know, parental imperfection.
It's interesting how Naumburg talks about, those moments after we've lost it.
Yeah, yeah.
She says, like, most parents react in one of 3 ways, and none of them are particularly helpful.
Uh-oh. Okay, I need to hear this because I'm pretty sure I've done all 3 at some point.
Yeah. Well, the first one is, like, self-criticism.
Oh,
We've replayed the whole thing over and over in our heads, like, convinced we're the worst parent ever. The second one is overcompensation.
Okay.
We shower our kids with apologies and gifts and promises we probably can't keep.
So basically, we're either drowning in guilt or trying to, like, bribe our kids into forgetting it ever happened.
Exactly. And the third reaction is what Naumburg calls a jaded attitude.
Okay.
We just kind of shut down emotionally, We justify our behavior and avoid actually thinking about what happened.
It's like sweeping it under the rug and pretending it never happened.
Right.
But deep down, we know we can't just ignore it, right?
Right. And those reactions, they might protect us from uncomfortable feelings, but they don't help us actually learn and grow.
Okay, so if those are the wrong ways to go, what's the right way to handle those post-meltdown moments? How do we actually, like, fix things with our kids?
Well, the key here, and it might sound surprising, is self-compassion.
Oh, got
Okay.
it.
Naumburg reminds us to, treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a friend going through a tough time.
Like, give ourselves a break, acknowledge that we're human and we mess up sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection.
I love that.
And once we've kind of extended that compassion to ourselves, then we can start to repair the relationship with our child.
That makes sense, but how do we actually do that? Like, what are the steps?
Well, it starts with making sure we've calmed down.
Right.
Remember those do anything else strategies?
Yeah.
Those could be helpful here, too. We need to regulate our own emotions before we can, really connect with our child.
Like putting on your own oxygen mask first, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And once we're calm, we can check in with our child, acknowledge what happened, and offer a genuine apology.
Okay, but apologies are hard.
I know, right?
Like, we don't want to make excuses, but we also don't want to be too hard on ourselves.
Right.
What does a genuine apology actually look like?
Well, Naumburg actually breaks it down into 3 parts.
Okay.
First, we take responsibility for our actions, no excuses.
Okay.
Second, we express sincere remorse, like we let our child know we understand we hurt their feelings.
Got it.
And third, we make a plan to avoid a similar situation in the future.
So it's not just saying, I'm sorry. It's about showing that we understand the impact of our actions and that we want to do better.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And apologies aren't just about words, right?
Right.
It's our tone of voice, our body language,
Yeah.
and being willing to listen to our child's perspective.
That listening part is so important
It is.
because our kids might be feeling all sorts of things after a meltdown, right?
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
creating that space where they feel safe to express those feelings without judgment is
Yeah.
key. Sometimes the best thing we can do is just sit with them, hold them, and let them know we're there.
It's about rebuilding that connection, right? Showing them that even though we messed up, we still love them.
Beautifully put.
Oh,
And this is where self-compassion comes back in.
okay.
Because when we're kind to ourselves, we can be kind and understanding towards our children.
It's like this ripple effect of compassion starting with ourselves.
Exactly.
But what if my kid isn't ready to accept my apology? Like what if they're still angry?
Well, every kid's different, right?
Right.
Some kids need space, others need hugs.
Okay.
It's about being attuned to their needs and responding in a way that feels supportive.
So like paying attention to their cues.
Exactly. And that's where that noticing comes in handy again.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We can pick up on those cues and respond accordingly.
I also think it's important to remember that kids are pretty resilient.
Oh, yeah.
They forgive easily.
Absolutely.
In these post-meltdown moments, they can actually be teaching opportunities, right?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
We're showing them how to take responsibility, how to fix relationships, how to be kind to themselves.
You got it. So even when we feel like we failed, there's still an opportunity for growth and connection.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, and that's really what Naumburg's book is all about,
Yeah.
empowering us to be more mindful, compassionate, connected parents.
This has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new perspective now.
That's great.
And I'm definitely feeling more motivated to, like, take care of myself so I can be a better parent.
That's fantastic.
Hmm.
And remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about progress.
Okay, so we've talked about how to repair things after a meltdown and how self-care can make us better parents. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more thing Naumburg talks about, preventing those meltdowns in the first place.
Ah, yes, and those preventative measures, they go hand in hand with everything we've been talking about.
Okay,
It's about creating a calmer, more connected family life.
I like the sound of that. Give me the inside scoop on those meltdown prevention strategies
Yeah.
because I am all about proactive parenting.
Okay, well, she doesn't present it as like a rigid set of rules or anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she encourages parents to like find what works for them.
Right, because every family's different.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
It's about being like curious and self-aware,
okay.
paying attention to what's happening, within ourselves, within our kids,
Right, yeah.
within the whole family dynamic.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that allows us to respond, authentically and effectively.
Okay.
It's about moving away from those like knee-jerk reactions,
Right, right.
moving towards more conscious choices.
So it's like we're becoming more mindful parents.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I like that.
It's about bringing more mindfulness to parenting, which, let's face it, can be pretty challenging.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, but also incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been such a rich and insightful deep dive.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah, I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for dealing with those parenting challenges.
That's great.
I especially love her emphasis on self-compassion.
Oh, yeah.
It's so important to remember that we don't have to be perfect.
Absolutely.
We just have to be good enough.
Yeah, and that message is so important for everyone, not just parents.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot, triggers, self-care, apologies.
Yeah,
Hopefully you're feeling empowered to, try some of these strategies out.
I hope so.
Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Exactly.
And every little step counts.
It really does.
And if you're ready to dive even deeper into Naumburg's work, definitely check out her book, How to Stop Losing Your Shit with Your Kids.
Yes, great book.
It's full of practical tips, funny stories. It's a great read.
It is. It is.
Well, that's it for today. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be present with your kids, and just, enjoy the ride.
Absolutely.